What's up, gamers? Welcome to day 2 of Taiwan Excellence Gaming Cup 2019. Can we make some noise? Thank you so much. Today is day 2 of Taiwan Excellence Gaming Cup. Yesterday was epic, it was intense, and today we will find out who is the ultimate winner of TEGC 2019. I am super duper excited. My name is Lindsay Rosario. I'm going to be your host for this wonderful, wonderful event, ladies and gentlemen. So let me give you a gist what TEGC 2019 is all about. We have two cool games, Counter-Strike Go and Dota 2. And the winning team of Counter-Strike Go, they are going to get an amount of 2 lakhs, prize amount of 2 lakhs, and a trip to Taiwan. The team that will win the Dota 2 game, they are going to take home a prize amount of 2 lakhs and lots of cool gaming products thanks to Taiwan Excellence. The winner in the 3rd and 4th position, they will be taking home an amount of 50,000 rupees. And 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th position will be taking home an amount of 25,000 rupees. So, ladies and gentlemen, this event has been possible because of the exceptional support given by Taitra as well our brand partners. So, big round of applause to Taitra and all our brand partners, ladies and gentlemen. They have helped us to take this event at such a humongous, humongous scale. With that, it's time to call my co-anchor on stage. Let's hear it for Blatter!
All right. What a wonderful start this is. Thank you so much, Lynn, for that warm welcome. I certainly do hope every team right here is excited for this day to get started. My apologies there. Oh, come on. That is not the kind of response that we were looking forward to. GE seems to be interested in their own. As far as Whoops is concerned, well, whoops to you, mate. But that is all good, because after all, these two teams are going to battle it out right about now. As so beautifully mentioned by the co-host, Lynn, they are going to battle it out for 2 lakh rupees. But before they get a chance to do that, they have to grind it out in this Battle of One, of course, in the Dota 2 realm that is. So with that, let's quickly get introduced with the first team that is indeed Global Esports. All right, this is Global Esports. As you guys can clearly see, joining me on the stage on the right-hand side of me, this is Pasol, Blizzard, Swifty, A35, Mr. Crowley in the end. This is a team joining in from Mumbai. They've battled it out and grinded in the Dota 2 for a very, very long time, moving from one team to the other. These players, these names are known in the esports, Indian esports, of course, in the Dota 2 realm, but they cannot battle it out all by themselves. They are going to need to have a competition. And that competition today is none other than Whoops indeed. So let's get introduced with the team called Whoops. All right, there's a team joining in from the left of the stage, joining in from Bangalore, Mumbai, Kolkata, Hyderabad. They've got a synergy like none other team in this competition. They are, of course, Parasite, Pinkman, Negi, No Chance, ZXC, of course. Once again, if you are part of the Indian Dota 2 community, you would know these names, or rather, a couple of them you would certainly know. On the other side, of course, we have Mr. Crowley that so many others also know, but right now, only one team is going to get to push forth because after all, they only get this one chance. It is a BO1 series right now that's about to get started. So with that, best of luck to these teams. Please go ahead and take your seats and let's...
And the time is to up your game, so let's do that for the camera.
Let's certainly do that. It is certainly time to
up
your
your
game. Over to you, casters, Angie and Vivek.
Thank you so much, Plotter and Lindsay, as we finally get on with finals day here at the Taiwan Excellence Gaming Cup 2019. My name is Vivek. With me is Angela. Two teams, one BO1. One of these two teams going home here, as Whoops will take on Global Esports. We also do have the brackets that should be coming up shortly. You can take a look at the teams and their journeys. As you can see, in the very first match of day one, Team Whoops was dropped to the lower bracket. Excuse me, Team Whoops did drop Global Esports to the
Yeah,
lower
and
bracket.
then they got dropped to the low bracket by Entity Gaming.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that's the story, a very interesting one. But of course, for people who are viewing, Entity has already made it to the grand final. So this match is so important between these two teams. And like I said, it's a best of one. Nobody knows how it's going to go. And Whoops, even though their names are really old, their team composition is so new that somewhere Global also could be put on the back foot of not understanding what kind of drafts, what kind of sequence of strategies Whoops can come out with today.
Yep. Whoops is a rather new team, and there is that factor of them being unpredictable. Global Esports were caught by surprise. There was a very smart Sand King pick coming out from the side of Whoops. Negi playing that Sand King at mid, and I don't think Global Esports were ready for that. Hopefully, though, Global Esports have learned. They know that their opponents have a tendency to cheese. I'm not going to just. I think cheese is too much of a far-fetch. They just have a tendency to outdraft you. And if you're caught sleeping and if you're running really, really greedy lanes, Whoops will look to punish you. Global Esports, though, they've been looking good ever since they were knocked out, or rather knocked to the lower bracket by Whoops. They've had a good run. They managed to beat Wipeout. They're looking strong, but only one of these two teams will move on to the grand final to face off versus Entity Gaming that are probably chilling and enjoying their time in the hotel.
True that. I mean, Whoops, if you look at their lineup, we have no chance of Negi, who were previously part of Team Signify, the same team that Global Esports has Crowley, Swifty, and Blizzard in. So it was a very different composition when you have two players who were such an important core part of the team suddenly leave and make their own team. But no chance, as we all know, he's one of those legendary support players. He's always had a very incredible role. He also is one of the really good drafters. And
Yep.
in Global, of course, we have Blizzard now, who is the drafter. So that could be something that No Chance is not prepared for in this particular matchup. Now, heroes that I've seen super comfortable on the side of Global Esports are always these early game 20-minute mark heroes, especially heroes like Juggernaut, the Terrorblade, the Sven. I think these are the kind of compositions that I could see Global running today. At the same time, Whoops, they play more on the economy. They like to play in that 10-minute mark, which is getting the net worth up and running really high, and then find those synergy points and then use that to their advantage to gank S5 or take good team fights against Global. So I'm sure these two teams have done their homework on each other and know how this really is going to pan out. But if I had to just ask you, who do you think is the better team for you today who could make it to the grand finals?
So I'm going to answer that, but I'm going to give a rather long explanation as to who I think is going to go on to the grand final. So you mentioned three players from Signify that are now sitting in Global, Crowley, Swifty, and Blizzard, and you mentioned the other two players sitting on the side of Whoops. I think there's a sixth person that you're forgetting, and this sixth,
Pasol.
yeah, this sixth person is a rather crucial factor in my eyes, because these five players, if you look at the original, or rather the, the longer lasting five of Signify, sure, they've all played together, but Pasol has played against them. So he knows how to play like one of them, and he knows how to play against them and draft against them. And he's played against Signify when I believe No Chance was drafting. So I believe it was No Chance, and I believe he did manage to he did definitely take games of them at a tournament a year or so ago in Bangalore. So I believe Pasol will be that differentiating factor between both these teams, because he knows how to play with them and against them. So having that insight into the enemy's thought process will make the difference. And since you put me on the spot and asked me for a prediction, I'm going to go with Global Esports.
Well, that's a great prediction to have. I think both of them have such unique capabilities in this matchup. Now, putting the Signify roster, ex-former roster aside, let's take a look at the other players who have been joining in. A35, he's coming from RG Titans. Against him is his former teammate, ZXC.
Yep.
Now, ZXC, as we know, one of the exceptional carry players out there, very young blood. He knows when he needs to get that aggression on point, and he's not really afraid of going up against somebody like Blizzard. He rather takes it in a stride to when he's really going to take him down. And I think that's the kind of talent Whoops really requires in this particular matchup. So they're very lucky to have ZXC on this roster with them. Joining them, of course, is Parasite, another very strong player today on Whoops. So when I look at both the rosters, I gotta say Global from the heart, but I think Whoops can pull out something really crazy today and go up against Entity tomorrow. It always comes down to that draft. And if one of these teams has an exceptional draft or outdrafts the other team, we could see a very early game today. But only time will tell.
Yeah, I feel that Whoops will be trying to play a faster pace of game. The one thing Whoops have got to be concerned about is that ZXC will be playing in the safe lane with Parasite. And we saw the kind of trouble that Crowley did manage to cause yesterday when he got his hands on the Tiny. So Whoops have got to be careful. They want to make sure that the safe lane has a good start. And Negi in the mid lane, I think this is what really concerns me about Whoops. Not taking anything away from Negi. I've seen his pubs. I've seen him before he played support on the side of Signify. He's a good core player, but can he hold his own against the likes of Swifty? He's spending 2 or maybe more than 2 years with Swifty in the same house, in the same boot camp, enough for him to prepare for this matchup? I'm not quite sure. I know what he plays in his pubs. He's playing a lot of techies actually, which is why he complains about his behavior score. And thank God Valve doesn't really reward people who pick techies. But on a more serious note, I'm concerned for Negi in this mid lane matchup.
I mean, yesterday we saw Whoops against Global.
Yeah.
And over there it was Negi mid. He was playing the Sand King. And
Yeah.
we saw Swifty. He was on the Night Stalker.
So I think so Negi had an advantage, right? I mean that's a lane that is favoring the Sand King. If it's an isolated 1v1, the Sand King should almost always come out on top. He was drafted in advantage, and it remains to be seen if he's going to be drafted in advantage yet again. We're still in the lobby, Angela, but what I really want to find out as soon as we jump into the draft is if Whoops have second pick. Because if they do have second pick, they're going to end up having last pick in the draft, and that's the kind of advantage they need to secure Negi a good time in the mid lane.
Absolutely, because we've always seen Global Esports, they always pick Swifty's hero at the very end of the draft. So
Yep.
there are 3 heroes that today Whoops has to be really cautious about. It's going to be the Tiny, because yesterday we saw very devastating, scary Tiny coming out of Crowley. So I'm sure they want to look to ban that hero out completely. The Alchemist, even though he's not been picked up that much in this whole tournament, I think he still is that very high risk factor. And I hope to see one of these teams really go ahead and pick up this hero, because then that's going to give us a very interesting game. At the same time, a third hero that I'm looking forward to is the Ancient Apparition. Yesterday was a very interesting game with that hero. Even though he's got so many nerfs, he seems to be a top pick even now in the meta. But there's one hero that I'm not looking forward to, and that is the Mirana. I think I've seen some really bad games from yesterday with Mirana. It's just not seeming to pan out for a lot of teams, but
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not looking forward to the Mirana at all. I don't know, teams have been picking her up. This is just a post-TI effect that's still lingering on the Indian scene. I think the hero barely contributes a lane. And sure, if there is an ultra late game scenario, hopefully she's going to have farm and dish out DPS. But I haven't seen this Mirana as a 4-position support have any sort of impact.
yeah.
As I mean, we saw A35 play the Mirana, and we saw A35 play the Grimstroke. Angela, you tell me which looked better.
I mean, the Grimstroke for sure.
Yeah, and this is not an issue with A35. It's just the hero. Mirana is it's I don't know. If I'm playing a pub and somebody picks Mirana, I have resigned myself of any chance of even winning that game. I just put up with it, make sure I get a good behavior score, and get the heck out of there. But yeah, for me, Mirana is instantly 25 MMR given away.
Yeah,
On the support role, I don't mind her as a core. On the support role, yeah. Even as a core, she's very whatever. She's a flex pick in a sense. Doesn't
she's
really.
very situational. Like, she doesn't fit in every single draft, and maybe that's one of the reasons why we may not see that pick up today. But another hero that I'm looking forward to is the Puck. We saw a very good Puck come out yesterday.
No
from
chance
Whoops
played it.
against Global, and maybe they could use the same cards yet again. But I'm sure Global has something good stored in the bag. Now, fun fact, Global hates playing morning games. They get super lazy in the morning, but I'm sure today
Yep.
it's not like yesterday. They're going to put their best foot forward. They're going to figure out how they really want to run this draft. Whoops, of course, is going to have Negi today who'll be drafting for them, and he has a lot of experience backing him. He also has No Chance of sitting right next to him, who's going to give him those perfect insights on how they really want to play this out. But another player that we haven't really spoken about quite a bit is Pinkman.
Oh yeah, Pinkpin did look really, really good yesterday. I saw flashes of the Pinkpin that played in Aggressify with Pasol, and flashes of what made him part of what I believe was one of the strongest support duos at that time, Pinkman and Pasol. And we did see him really dictate the tempo of the game with his Tusk. That is the kind of player he is. He is one of those foes that really likes to take over the early to mid game and secure an advantage for his team. It remains to be seen if he can do something like that today, but I am personally hyped here because I've missed this Pinkman for a really long time. He's been one of my favorite players. Back in those aggressive fight days, he was all about squeezing space away from his opponents, and I hope we get to see some of that again. The draft should be up on your screens. Global, they're still going to respect the Alchemist, ban it out. They ban out the Night Stalker, which I personally believe is one of the most broken heroes in this patch. While if you look at Whoops, they're going to be banning out the Axe. I haven't seen Global run it, but I guess Crowley's been spamming the Axe a fair amount in his pubs. Treen getting banned out here. I think Pasol does play it on the 5 position every now and then. He's just a generally irritating hero to deal with in lane.
Yeah, and the Tiny is still not being touched. We saw Global Esports pick that as their first pickup yesterday. So I'm hoping to see if
There you go.
they ban it out and the Ancient gets the next ban on the board. So that gives Oops the opening into this draft. They're going to get to pick one hero before Global decides to showcase their first 2 heroes. Now, what's left in the pool that can be picked up here? First of all, the Enchantress. The Chen, these are 2 heroes that both these teams love to play quite a bit, so we could see them running that. But knowing Whoops and how they've been drafting recently, they would be going for something more comfortable and not really revealing too much of their draft too early on against Global Esports
I
today.
think a safe comfort pick and a decent opening for Whoops is to just pick up Pinkman or Parasite's hero. Pinkman looked rather comfortable on the Tusk. I know it's one of his better heroes. He used to play the Clockwork a lot once upon a time, and Clockwork did receive a small set of buffs. Over time, actually, one of the buffs that came a couple of patches ago was that Battery Assault has no cast animation; it's instant, and the stun duration on Hookshot did get buffed. I've seen a couple of supports, especially Zephyr from GeekFam, spam the Clockwork a fair bit, so we might be seeing Pinkman get back to his classic Clockwork, but I'm not quite sure. If not the Clockwork, like I mentioned, the Tusk is an option, but whoops, they're taking the time here.
They got to decide what they want to really showcase to Global so early on in the game. They also like to play the Magnus sometimes. But they're going to open with their Tusk. Comfortable pickup,
Yep.
something that they already won with against Global. But Global's prepared. That's a super quick. They're going to go with the Sand King and instantly the Mirana. Oh my god, we just spoke about something we were not looking forward to. But
No, but
she's very good with Sand King.
yeah, exactly. I mean, it's the pairing that makes the Milano look good. I think this is Crowley and A35. This is the offlane that they're going to be running. Sand King and Mirana. Whoops, they're going to respond with a Puck pickup here. I think this is no chance is going to be playing the Puck. Yeah, this is pretty much no chance. If they want to, they can run it made on Negi. There is that option of flexibility. What I really want to see from Global Esports, or maybe even from Whoops, is to try and pick up or ban, for the case of Global Esports, a good safe laner that can deal with the Sand King. There are a couple of heroes that come to mind. I think the Monkey King is one of those heroes. There are a bunch of heroes that can deal with the Sand King. Any decent one position and the Tusk should be able to shut him down. But yeah, for now, I think Whoops should try and ensure that ZXC has a decent time, heck, not a decent time, a good time in that safe lane. Because if Crowley gets off to a start, Angela, we have seen rather, how he just takes over the entire tempo of the mid game and pretty much wins the game for his team.
Absolutely, and they do not want to give anybody on the side of Global that space. If it's not Crowley, it's going to be Pasol doing that. If it's not Pasol, it's going to be Swifty doing that. So there are lots of different things that Whoops needs to keep in mind today against this team. But the great thing about them is the fact that they just took a game off them yesterday with a very similar draft, which gives them a slight advantage maybe. But at the same time, now Global knows how No Chance plays this Spark, how this Tusker is really going to get those ganks off in the mid lane. So they got to be very, very sure as to how well they prepared against the same kind of lineup that's going to be coming up against them. Meanwhile, on the ban board, we do see the Morphling and the Slark getting banned out here from the side of Whoops. Meanwhile, the answer to that is going to be the Gyrocopter ban from the side of Global Esports. They are looking to make their next ban on the board. And as I see this draft proceed, I do see Global even going for something like the Omni Knight for themselves. They like that combination. They
Yep.
are very
I've
comfortable
got to
on
point
that
out
hero.
though, yesterday they did pick an Omni Knight, but the Ancient Apparition was in the pool, and they picked the Omni Knight after seeing an Ancient Apparition pick up. This time, Global Esports can pick up the Omni Knight if they want to, without fearing an Ancient Apparition and all that heal and regen being taken away with the Ice Blast. If they do end up going in that direction, it just means that either it's a one position Omni Knight or it's a three position Omni Knight, and the Sand King is probably going to be relegated to some other lane and some other role.
Absolutely. We did see Fish Crowley yesterday on that Omni Night. Maybe he wants a revenge kill with that pickup. But let's see what they have in store. Global Esports, they're going to ban out the Mars next. And with this Ancient Apparition out of the pool now completely, it opens up the doors to a lot of different kinds of strategies that these
Yep.
two teams can run.
Yep.
They can have an Ursa in this. They can go ahead and put an Abaddon if they feel like that. If they can even go on Husker for just troubling Whoops a little bit. They're not going to take that risk, of course, but those are the kind of heroes that become really strong the minute Ancient's not in the pool. And with that, it's going to be next pickup on the board, Global. They are going to go with the Lich. The Lich and the Sand King combination goes back a long time, and they fare really well together. The laning presence of Lich is really strong, and he will be able to keep the momentum going just to make sure that Blizzard gets the required farm. Now, yesterday we saw Blizzard on the Terrorblade, and it was a fantastic game for him. Somewhere the Lich and the Terrorblade together also are a pretty good duo to stay in the safe lane.
Yeah, the Lich, a really strong 5. He's been buffed. A rather small buff is that the Sinister Gaze cooldown was reduced, so he can be using it a little bit more frequently. Small nerf though, he did end up losing 2 int early on, and this hero does require a lot of mana if you're using the Frost Blast and the shield upon yourself. So yeah, but Lich in general, I'm a fan of this pickup. It's also some instant lockdown versus the puck that Sinister Gaze if you do get in range. Which is definitely going to come in handy. There's a lot of opportunities here for Pinkman to be saving his friends with a snowball or two. But yeah, Whoops, they're going to pick up the Grimstroke. The Phantom's Embrace definitely going to be handy versus the Mirana, heck, even the Sand King. You also have the Inkswell into the Tusker, just running at you with maybe the shards of the tag team. It's a strong draft coming up from both teams actually at this stage. And it's going to boil down, I think a big factor in this game is how the mid lane pans out.
Absolutely, and that's exactly I was thinking that if the mid lane goes really well, one of these teams is going to get that slight advantage 10 minutes into the game
Yep.
to keep starting to steamroll into this game. But at the same time, when I look at Whoops, the draft is just so beautiful. Their ganking potential from the 4-minute mark itself is so strong. Knowing Pinkman and his aggression on the map, he's going to make sure that Swifty is going to be shut down. And if that is the case, then we're going to see a very good mid lane here for Negi, giving them the advantage to take those 10 to 15-minute fights against whatever is going to be placed against them.
Yep.
Now, Blizzard is somebody who you need to shut down between the 10 to 15-minute markers. That's where he leaves the lane, he goes to the jungle, that's where he starts getting his really aggressive farm. His first item comes by about the 14-minute or the 15-minute mark. So I know Whoops has understood the theory to this, the mathematics that goes behind it, and they are looking to just constantly shut down Global because any space given is going to be scary. Now, Global, they've gone ahead with the Kunkka, and that's definitely a mid Kunkka coming out here, I think.
Yep.
It's surprising that Global's gone ahead and picked up Swifty's heroes so early on. You would expect them to leave that for the last, but I think they're more worried about Blizzard's pick today. Ooh.
I think this is Negi's Venomancer. I think so, yep.
So it's going to be a Puck versus Kunkka in the mid lane then.
No, it's going to be Venom versus Kunkka in the mid lane. I think Negi's going to be playing the Venomancer and Swifty's going to be playing the Kunkka. So it's interesting. Global Esports who have last pick, they don't keep it for their 2 position, they keep it instead for their 1 position. I think Whoops has done the same. I don't think this is ZXE playing the Venomancer in the
Absolutely
safe
not.
lane. It could be, but I personally, look, I tried to have a chat with the players and try and find out what is Negi playing at mid these days. And
Yeah.
apparently he's been picking the Venomancer every now and then. So even this last ban from Global Esports is going to make it rather clear where they think this Venomancer is going to be going. And yeah, they think it's a mid Venomancer. They're trying to narrow down ZXC's hero pool. They ban out the Juggernaut. Good ban there. Both-
ZXC
Yeah,
can
sorry.
definitely go for Monkey King.
Yeah, I think the Monkey King is one of the heroes that he's rather comfortable with. I think a hero that's a little bit better in this game would be the Lifestealer. The Rage can really help him versus all that lockdown coming out from Global Esports. He's going to be really handy chewing through the Kunkka. Or they can just commit to all-out aggression and just snowballing off a strong laning phase, in which case you want to go for the Monkey King. The problem I have with the Monkey King is that he kind of starts to fall off.
Yeah.
It doesn't, like, in this game, him scaling is kind of, his potential to scale is kind of limited. Uh, so yeah, maybe Whoops would want a one position that's a true source of late game.
Yeah, then the lifestealer makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense. They could also just go for an anti-mage just because they can have a very late game, but they're going to go with the Sven.
Okay.
Try, test it, pick up. I was expecting this at the same time I wasn't. I didn't really think they would want to go for this pickup. For them, it works better when they have a lot of AoE control coming in there from the Monkey King, but Sven's it is. So it's going to be ZXT on that Sven. Meanwhile, now Global, they know what Whoops is up to and they figured out their strategy. They know how they're going to do their laning phase. What are they going to pick up here for the side? They could send this Kunkka carry. That could be another thing that maybe Global is trying to just play well. They could also just send this Mirana as a carry. We've seen Blizzard on the Mirana quite a few times and he's fared decently well. But let's see what Global has. This is all a mind game. I mean, you never really know till the last pickup how their laning phase is going to be. They have two very strong cores there with the Mirana and the Kunkka. The Sand King also can always be converted into a core. It just depends how you play your laning phase. So Global, they've got 6 seconds on the clock. They're going to close this draft with an anti-mate. So pretty comfortable, but a little too greedy, I think.
I mean, it's a really hard game for an anti-mage, right? Because the Phantom's Embrace, that can't be blocked or returned with the counter spell. No Chance has got the Waning Rift, which is an AoE silence. It is not going to be an easy game for Blizzard, but the plan here for Global Esports is clear. I mean, sure, they're going to be taking fights early on, but it's all about Blizzard just surviving, buying time, becoming this big beast that you can't deal with, and then dictating the late game. Global Esports are playing for the late game, actually, with this anti-mage pickup. Because it's so one of two things end up happening here for Global Esports. They either just dominate the early game and they close this out really early, or it's going to be an early game, an early and a mid game that's really back and forth between Global and Whoops. But at the end of it all, it all boils down to Blizzard.
Absolutely, and the irony of this game is that Whoops played Entity yesterday and Moon was playing the anti-mage and they almost had the game in the bag until Moon just got super aggressive. He started getting a lot of farm up and running and he completely turned the game for Entity Gaming. And if Whoops does this a second time where they lose to an anti-mage, they got to start banning that hero. It's just not something they should be really happy about. They got to figure out whether they are going to take this victory today against Global or no. But with that, of course, you have your draft on the screen. We have Crowley, who's going to be on that Sand King, A35 on the Mirana, Pasol, who's going to be on that Lich, Swifty is going to be on that Kunkka, and Blizzard, of course, on your screen right now. He is going to be playing the anti-mage, and that's the side of Global Esports. Meanwhile, Whoops, that's going to be No Chance on that park. Looking very, very pretty today. Very calm and composed. Let's see how this game pans out for them. Quick prediction yet again after seeing that draft.
I think, okay, so if the side of Whoops have to win this, they have to try and close this game early. If they don't, they could get into a really sticky situation where they have to deal with a late game anti-mage. And the thing about a late or even a mid-game anti-mage, because if he does have a decent start, he can get his items online. The thing about an anti-mage is it's a lot like the Tinker. You're really hoping that the player playing the anti-mage or the Tinker makes a mistake. And that's the way back for Whoops. But the later and later this game goes, I feel it does get a little bit harder for Whoops. Even then, I haven't made a prediction at the end of it all. I'm going to go with the boys on the side of Whoops.
Okay, then I'm going to go and put my money on Global Esports. I think they just have better synergy, better coordination. They have prepared for this game. They're super
30
confident.
seconds
Absolutely.
to battle.
And hopefully the best team may win. But let's...
So, Whoops is actually playing a style of Dota that these players did play under the banner of Signify. They are trying to delay this game. Now, like you mentioned, No Chance and Negi was a part of that organization. It remains to be seen whether they found an answer against their own strategy. That's what this game is all about. If they can shut down Global Esports and make sure that Blizzard doesn't find time and space to farm and just take over this game. That's what it's pretty much going to boil down to.
Absolutely. And looking at Whoops' side, let's take a look at what the different players are playing. We do see Pinkman, he's on the Tusker. We see No Chance, who's going to be on the Puck. Negi, who's going to be on the Venomancer. ZXC is going to be on that Sven. And Parasite, he's going to be a Grimstroke. He has a very important role to play today. If he gets those ink swells on point, if he gets the combinations right with the Tusker, that's going to be a very, very angry mid lane over there because that combination is devastating. Put that with something like a Venomancer against you, it's just too much of damage for Global Esports to deal with. The burst coming out here from the side of Whoops in the early game is going to be something that Global needs to be super prepared for.
Yep.
And
Tag team and Inkswell. I mean, these make Whoops look really strong at level 1 when they're going to contest bounty runes and whatnot. So, yeah, if you were Global Esports, you really do not want to go and contest these level 1 bounties if you do see the Grimstroke or the Tusk. For now, I've got to point out some of the early vision coming out here. The side of Whoops, they've got this one early aggressive observer ward. The whole point is to contest bounties and to make sure that Crowley doesn't have much of a laning phase to work with. No Chance, for the time being, is all by himself. Orb taken at level 1, ready to pick up a bounty rune and get the hell out of there. Negi, like we mentioned, he's going to be heading over to the mid lane. He's got himself a sentry. So if he does get lucky, he might find a D ward. But unfortunately for him, Radiant have not placed any vision in the mid lane. They're prioritizing vision across the runes. They see both the top and the bottom rune. And this is rather smart because Pinkman, like you mentioned, would really want to get active early on the Tusk. Swifty is just ensuring that he has information so that he can avoid these early ganks coming up from the side of Whoops. While if you look at the side of Whoops, they're looking at one rune down bottom, which is the smarter play. Simply because for any mid laner, moving towards the rune up top is a lot easier. The distance is shorter. So if in case Negi doesn't find the rune up top, he knows what rune is there towards the bottom half of the map. No Chance is all by himself about now, but I feel that a support should be joining him soon enough. And this top lane, it's not going to be that much fun. Crowley doing what all Sand Kings do nowadays, starting out with a sentry so that he can get a D ward, so that Sandstorm is effective. And I think No Chance and the side of Whoops will find themselves 3 bounty runes. Crowley, he's got to be careful. ZXC sees him, but Crowley knows better. He's going to walk the other way. 835, he's taking leap at level 1, Angela.
wow, that's an interesting start for him. It can work because he can keep kiting around this tri lane, but it's too soon to tell Whoops that they've already picked up the side of, they've already not picked up an arrow, and they would definitely be more cautious if they knew that he hadn't already skilled the leap.
Yeah. I mean, they know that he's taking leap, right? So Parasite is going to just try and trade with them. Has the Inkswell as well, so he knows that 835 can't do much. The Grimstroke has as much, if not better, damage than the Mirana at level 1, and 835 is just going to keep losing this trade of regen in this top lane.
Absolutely, and meanwhile in the mid lane, nice start here for the side of Kunka. He's got the lane pushed all the way to the tower, and bottom lane, it's going to be the Puck there against the anti-mage. So he'll have to get that aggression going, a lot relying here on the Tusker. He's got to make sure that this anti-mage doesn't get that early farm and level till the 10-minute mark, because once that Battle Fury is up and running on Blizzard, it's going to be very difficult to shut him down. Now, Whoops, they do see Prisol on that Lich, a quick kill for them. He's really low on HP already, and he's going to be very careful. He's going to be the feeding machine if things go bad here for Global Esports.
Yeah, I think No Chance is going to be okay. There's not much that Blizzard can do to really contest his farm with just a Lich. There isn't enough kill potential. The only way they really get a kill is if Pasol takes Sinister Gaze, and No Chance does some horrible slip up where he's caught with less HP than he should have. But up top, though, I think this is where we should be seeing a lot of action. 835 with Leap at level 1 can't really do all that much. I mean, teams have been picking up the Mirana so that she can try and get those arrows going nice and early. ZXC okay for now in this top lane. And with the Inkswell, they're better than okay. They're even looking for a kill. Crowley stunned up under a sentry. Should probably end up falling. ZXC draws first blood. And Global Esports are not going to be too pleased about that.
That was so unexpected. I don't think Crowley was looking forward to be taken down so quickly. That sentry was so on point there from the Grimstroke, making sure that even in the Sunstorm, he was clearly visible. And now they can try to make a quick D-ward here, but they've already got what they wanted. You give a first blood to a Sven, he's going to be super happy about that.
Yep. Parasite pulling the lane. I think, were there 2 lane streaks? I'm not quite sure, but They want to pull the way back now. This Radiant Creep Wave is going to come under the Dire Tower, and the tower is going to do a lot of damage. It's going to push right back, but ZXC should be okay just getting CS under the tower. Down mid, Negi seems to be struggling. I mean, they picked the Venomancer for him. I think this was what Negi wanted was the Kunkka, but he's not having as good a time as he envisioned here in this mid lane. And like we mentioned, Negi versus Swifty, this on paper is a matchup that does favor Swifty. It is a matchup where Negi is just meant to get as much as he can and find impact in the mid game.
Absolutely. Yeah, the sad part though for Negi is that every single time he drops down those wards, that's extra gold going in favor of Swifty. And he's going to be completely using that disadvantage. He just keeps getting that extra 17 gold per shot. And that's equal to almost denying 2 creeps. So Swifty somewhere, he's taking full advantage of the situation. He's sitting on the second net worth on the board and last hits, of course, with 20 last hits compared to the Venomancer sitting with 14. Make that 15 and 16. But he's also got 6 deny. So he's doing pretty well when it comes to deny ratio against Swifty.
Dire's top tower is
Down
under
bottom,
attack.
no chance dropping low. Blizzard there with the shield upon him, no chance. Does have a couple of stick charges, but Blizzard gets the kill. No mana to work with. A friend that can't do all that much. No chance will fall 1-1. Both offlaners having suffered early deaths here. The good news, though, for the side of Whoops is that ZXC is sitting at the top of the CS.
Double damage.
Absolutely. And both the carriers now getting 1-1 kill each for their names. So they're going to be super happy. It never happens normally. The 2 carries get kills so early on into the game. Parasite, he's running pretty low on HP here. 835, he wants to continue this chase. He's going to get another shot, but he's going to miss that arrow and he needs to back off then. Nice play coming out there from Parasite. I think if you just use another leap charge, he could just kill him without having to expel the arrow. But meanwhile, Swifty, he does see Negi there with the DD and he's going to TP back base.
Yeah, Negi finds himself the DD, uses the Gale, pushes Swifty out of lane. I presume this is a game where Negi goes to something like the Spirit Vessel. It would really help for his team to deal with the Sand King and the Kunkka. 5-minute bounty runes coming up. It looks like Whoops are set up to find both bounty runes down bottom, while Global Esports will find both bounty runes up top.
Attack.
Even trades here. Surprisingly, the anti-mage is not doing so well. He's sitting with only 24 last hits compared to the Swan, so a little catching up to go there for anti-mage. At the same time, top lane now, quick stun coming out to Crowley. Crowley needs to get out of there. There is going to be a nice sentry, but nice arrow coming out there from 835. Not going to be able to connect. Good dodges. Crowley still alive, very low on HP, but is able to sustain. Meanwhile, bottom. This is pretty interesting. I've never really seen Blizzard play so aggressive so early on. And it is working to their advantage to quite an extent. He may not be doing really well on the CS charts, but there's only about 2-3 creep gap between them now.
Dire's middle tower is under
So,
attack.
small but interesting
Radiant
adjustment coming up from Blizzard.
structures are
He's put
fortified.
2 early points into the mana break. His player is not to have enough stats or magic resistance so that he can just survive the lane, but to actually do damage early on. He's got 2 points in the counter spell as well, but sure, the magic resistance does help, but I think he wants to be able to trade versus the Puck and the Tusken. Because of 2 points in mana break, he's able to do that.
Absolutely. 6 minutes and very slow game here between both these two teams. I mean, the fact that they're both waiting for the spike points to hit, they got to get that first item up and running, they got to be level 6. So many different kinds of things that need to work for them to really take these really big fights. But this is the interesting part. Once we really get into the 10-minute mark, that's where we're going to see the side of Global sticking together and just giving Blizzard enough room to farm. And that is where this game is going to start picking up pace really quick. And it could then mean that we could either just see a 20-minute quick victory or a really bad late game. But for now, Pigman, he does go inside. He sees Pasol, but they can't really move this forward, so they're going to back off. Now, Pigman getting a few shots. Nice shot coming out there, but now Pasol going to pay for this with his life. Pigman running a little low on HP. Blizzard, he's got one. He wants to make another one, but it's going to be a quick escape there for no chance.
I think no chance with that orb. That orb didn't quite connect on the anti-mage. Even if it did, it was hard for him to find the kill. But yeah, a little action down bottom. No chance getting credit for that kill, but Blizzard just getting a lot more gold for killing Pinkman. And Pinkman, he's had enough. He wants to move across the map. He's found A35, but A35 has plenty of leap charges. The Phantom's Embrace. A35 has been silenced. This is almost certain death for the Mirana, but he does manage to bring down the Phantom's Embrace. He's got one more leap charge to work with. Negi comes in. The block with the shots. Perfect as Pasol walks into his own death. Negi manages to find the kill, but that's 4 heroes moving towards the top half of the map, and all they find is a Lich.
Absolutely, and Baso is going to be scratching his head right now. Why did I even go there? This was not part of the plan. Good play coming out there from A35, of course.
Yep.
Nice. That was never going to be his life right there. But
It could have been his death, but A35 played it to perfection, dealt with the Phantom's Embrace, killed it off, and then just leaped away. Pasol wanted to come in, wanted to help out a friend, and he instead gives up his life instead. ZXC will sidestep the arrow now with the Inkswell and the detection coming up from the Dust of Appearance. They want it done, but Parasite falls, the Starstorm and the damage coming up from Crowley a bit too much, and Pinkman with the snowball wants to escape, has nowhere to go. Both supports walk into the top lane and end up giving Crowley a couple of key kills.
that was a
Dire's
very
top
good kill
tower
there for the
is
side
under
of Global
attack.
Esports. Taking down 2 supports, that is not what's supposed to be happening for Whoops. Right now, they're supposed to be the ones dominating. But the way Global is playing this, they're here to stay, and they want to make sure that they've got this game in the bag for themselves.
Yep. I've
Dire's
really
top
got to
tower is
point
under
out the
attack.
importance of what just took place in the top lane. Crowley has himself his Veil of Discord, which is why he could find those kills. If I'm not mistaken, he's also gone max Sandstorm, so he's doing a lot more damage, and the supports can't just take the heat. He is sitting at the top of the network charts, or at least he was. Having
Dire's
your
top
offlaner
tower
get
is
off
under
to such a good
attack.
start is really, really key. And Global Esports, they could actually use the Sand King to just make a lot of space here for Blizzard. Once Crowley finds himself a couple of levels, he's going to
Dire's
start moving
top
across the
tower
map. A
is
couple of
under
more levels
attack.
in the Bar Strike, and he's going to be doing a lot of work.
Dire's
He's actually
structures
moving down
are
bottom where
fortified.
ZXC thinks that he has
Radiant's
managed to
bottom
switch lanes
tower is
successfully
under attack.
and find himself a lane in
Dire's
which he
top
can farm. But
tower
there
is
comes
under
Crowley,
attack.
the Whale, committed only for the creep wave.
Oh damn, this is not a good place here for Crowley. He's, I think, come into the middle of 3 or 4 players from the side of Whoops, and they are going to be very, very scary together. The Tusker also is coming in to join the fun. No chance right behind them at the tower, and meanwhile in the front we do see already 2 players, the Sven and the Grimstroke available, so don't see Crowley coming out alive of this one. It's going to be very scary for him. They do
Has
have the
Parasite
sentry
got
wards.
detection? Is there a sentry?
No, there is no sentry, but
No. I think Crowley should be fine. But yeah, rotations across the map is no chance with the coil. Has managed to find Blizzard. Blizzard stun. The Phantom's Embrace there. Blizzard needs to get the blink off. He won't be successful with the Waning Rift. They bring down Blizzard. A huge kill for the side of Whoops. Blizzard going really unchecked here will finally end up dying and suffering his first death in the game. I've got to point out one thing though. I mean, we question how the mid matchup would go, Angela, but it is Negi who's come out on top. He's sitting at the top of the network charts, and this is without any GPM talent or anything of that sort. So the mid lane clearly has gone in
Radiant
favor of
are
Whoops.
scanning.
I just really wish that Negi didn't play with this team tag. It's going to be confusing.
yeah, it's pretty confusing even for me when I
Radiant's
look at
top
it and I
tower
know
is
who's going to
under
take the
attack.
boundary, and it gets all confusing because they all have so many similar names. But also Venomancer, the kind of hero that if you leave him alone in a lane, he's going to take down your tower. He
Yep.
just has so much potential with those wards to be able to take it down that Global cannot just keep rotating around the map and keep this Venomancer unchecked.
Yep.
The minute they go to do something else in another lane, they're going to be pressured there in the mid lane, and he doesn't seem to want to leave that mid lane because he's either there or he's farming the neutrals, and that means that 4,800 net worth is soon going to start converting into a lot of big items here onto the
Dire's middle
Venomancer,
tower
and they
is
got to be
under
really
attack.
careful about that. But there's one player right now who's very happy, and that is Crowley. He is finding a lot of kills around the map. He's also getting a lot of farm up and running. Global now, they are going to pop the smoke of the seed, look to find a kill here. We do see Sven in the middle lane. He's just rotating out of there, I think. He shouldn't be missing out on farm, but meanwhile in the bottom lane, Pinkman just holding out. I like the
Radiant
kind of
structures are
discipline
fortified.
that Whoops is happening. They know that something is happening on the map. They have that feeling, and they're going to make sure that they rotate
Dire's
all
middle
together. So
tower
even if
is
they
under
do get
attack.
caught off guard, it's going to be just more than 1 or 2 heroes. Now Crowley, he is a little too far from comfort. This could be the death if things do not pan out very well for him. Pinkman looking to get the side shots on point, but he does know the burst strike is available, so he's going to be very cautious about this. The thing about Whoops right now that we haven't really spoken about is the fact that they don't have a good lockdown except for the Swan. So they had really charged behind their opponents to get a good gank off them. Except for the ice shots.
The coil. I mean, they have a good, they have decent lockdown. They have the answers they need. Crowley is going to get gone upon. I think Pinkman was just waiting for the Tomb of Experience. He's still not level 6 though, so no wall response to work with. Crowley does have the Frost Shield keeping him alive, and Ellie with that arrow. That's going to be the death of Negi. The Venomancer dead. No chance in the midst of it all. Will end up falling. One stroke of fate might net them one kill, but Crowley sidestepping like a god will not end up falling, and Parasite has no option but to run into the trees and TP
Radiant's
home.
middle
Now,
tower is under
I
attack.
feel like Whoops were waiting for Pinkman to get that Tomb of Experience and hit level 6, but Pinkman decided to go in and get the fight
Dire's
going.
top
I'm not
tower
quite
is
sure
under
why.
attack.
The problem though for the side of Whoops is that there's so much magical damage. Sure, Negi did manage to get off the Nova. Oh, he didn't even have the Nova. I thought he did manage to get the Nova off. Okay, fair enough. But
Dire's
he went in
structures
and
are fortified.
instantly a Veil of Discord, a Starstorm, the Sandstorm, all that magical damage, nuked down a couple of heroes. No chance, Negi both end up dying. That's 2 goes, Angela, and
Radiant's
they get
middle
nothing.
tower is under
They
attack.
did get the Sand King, but that was a very long death there for
The Sand
Crowley.
King didn't die. Oh, he did die, my
He
bad.
did die at the very end to the wards.
Okay.
So that's the interesting part. The fact that he was sidestepping so beautifully and he actually forced Whoops to come to him.
Dire's bottom
And that
tower
gave that
is
setup
under
that Global
attack.
needed to take this fight. So very well played there by Global Esports. And a lot of props there to Crowley to be able to get those fights completely on point. That calculation was great. I would never expect a Sand King to survive for so long in these kind of fights that have been taking place. But 6-5 on the scoreboard, a little over 1k net worth lead here to the side of Global Esports. And now Whoops, they got to be very cautious. They got to get their synergy points on point. The fact that the Tusker is still not level 6 is
Now
concerning.
He is. Now he is.
Radiant's middle tower
He
is under
just
attack.
he got the Doom after that fight, and maybe they're going to try and make a play with Pinkman hitting 6 now. They do have some burst potential
Radiant
between
are
No Chance and
scanning.
Pinkman. There's a fair amount of magical damage coming out. No
Dire
Chance even
are
has his own
scanning.
Veil of Discord. If they do have the coil, which they do, they should be able to kill Blizzard. They even scan the river just to ensure that there's no one in their way. Blizzard pushing a bit too far forward. No Chance doesn't have a blink dagger. All he needs to do is land that Dream Coil. And it could be the stuff of nightmares for Blizzard, and there's the coil. He's
Dire's
done for. He's
bottom
got the
tower is
counter
under
spell, but he
attack.
can't counter spell 4 heroes. As Blizzard ends up falling, his Battle Fury not complete. It's been 14 minutes in Global
Dire's
Esports. They've got to
bottom
make
tower is
time for
under
this anti-mage
attack.
to come online.
The fact but doesn't change that they rotated 5 heroes to take down 1 hero.
Yep.
And that means that the other 2 lanes have gone into massive advantage. When you look at the top lane, we do see the Sand King already there starting to chip down onto that tier 2 tower. The Lich is going to join him very, very shortly. And I don't think they can get this rotation back onto the top lane. And the only way they can really come out on top in this fight after taking down Blizzard is if they take that tier 1 tower into the bottom lane and trade for the tier 2 tower. So it's a big investment, if you ask me, from the side of Whoops,
I mean,
just for a Blizzard.
They can defend. I think Parasite can go back. But what they've got to ensure is that they don't linger in this. They either commit as 5 for this bottom tier 1, or they don't linger as 2 or 3 heroes and then get caught trying to take this tier 1 tower, because Blizzard is going to respawn. Swifty, yeah, he can TP bottom and try and set up for a couple of
And he's
kills
been
on the
completely
retreat.
unchecked, if you ask me. No one has really killed him till now.
He hasn't died, but it's Negi who still found more farm than him. I mean, Swifty's going to be a little surprised if he goes back and he sees this demo and finds out that, well, that it's Negi who's outdone him in the mid lane.
Yeah, that's going to be surprising for him.
Yeah.
But for me, it's a little concerning too, because if you let Swifty just hang around and concentrate too much on Blizzard, he's going to then, turn the game for yourself. And let's not forget there is also Mirana, who has completely been forgotten about. She's gone for a bottle as her first item, and then she's going to be farming a Yule, so she's going complete support and utility here for the side of Global Esports. Meanwhile, let's take a look at what is the progression on Puck and what he's decided to go for today. He's picked up the whale, mostly going to farm up that blink next. ZXC, he's gone for a Midas for himself. Negi, he's finished that Spirit Vessel, so that's going to be really useful. You spoke about this previously. And
Thanks,
good item progressions here coming out from both the teams. And they're going to be heading into the bottom
Dire's
tower.
top
Is Whoops
tower
going
is
to
under
TP top?
attack.
Crowley into the trees now. He's going to leave the top lane. No chance. He knows something is wrong. Could he go for this kill? He has to be very, very careful. Crowley isn't the kind of person who will give you an opportunity twice. He's also picked up a hood for now. So he's gotten pretty sustainable.
Yep. He's had the hood for a while. He's going to complete that into a pipe so that the Spirit Vessel coming out from Negi and all that magical damage coming out from the Nova and the Gale will be reduced. Because for now, Whoops are really reliant on that magical damage. 15-minute bounties, things could get ugly. I give Global Esports the advantage here because they do have the Moonlight Shadow available. It's Crowley who's going to be the first line of contact here for the side of Whoops. But yeah, I don't think they want to take this fight. Maybe Negi wants to. Crowley will Borrow Strike out of there. No chance. Doesn't have the coil, and Crowley is safe for the time being, but elsewhere, A35 being pursued, does have one more leap charge. Unfortunately, though, Whoops will not be able to catch up to him. Crowley, they don't have detection. They do. This is Sentry. Crowley does have the Borrow Strike. He's safe for the time being. There's no snowball, and Whoops are very careful as to how they overextend this. Negi, unfortunately, caught with the Torrent, and the boat should be dead. He dropped the Nova, catches a bunch of them. Negi trying to buy as much time as possible, but it just isn't enough. With the Nova and the Gale, and even the Soulbind, they barely managed to tickle the side of Global Esports here, as Whoops will lose their 2-position Venomancer.
And they not only lost their 2 position, that's when came into a fight and got nothing out of it. And meanwhile, we see Blizzard, he is still continuing to farm. So when you speak about the momentum between these two teams, Blizzard definitely getting the slight lead here. I gotta say, these gangs from Global Esports, which are 4v5 constantly, are working in their favor. And not only that, they even got a kill onto the Venomancer. And that slowly but surely is going to convert into a lot. Now ZXC, he sees Pasol. Oh, he could have got that kill. But Pasol just in nick of time, able to get out of there. Not getting much out of this map today, ZXC, and he's not going to be happy because he's investing a lot to get these rotations done with the rest of his team.
Negi's also completed his pipe. Right now, Global Esports, whenever they seem to be taking fights, both teams relying really heavily on how the team fight goes, simply based on who casts their spells better. So that pipe is definitely going to be very handy for Whoops. A fair amount of magical damage coming out from the Kunkka, and the Sand King was amplifying it with the Veil. Both teams at rather even footing. I still feel, though, that Whoops have got to be careful because there is a ticking time bomb on the other side of the map, and that is Blizzard, who's finally picked up his Valkyrie at 70 minutes into the game. No chance. He's going to commit with the coil. I'm not quite sure how this works out. He eats an arrow to Spirit Vessel there. Quick snowball coming out from Pikmin. The Power Strike, though, it's set up for both of them. The boat will come through. Heck, it's not even needed as a taunt, and a couple of auto attacks from Swifty, enough to bring down Pikmin. Not quite sure what Whoops are trying to do there, as they yet again lose a core, and this time Global Esports will find a tier 1 tower to go alongside it.
What a fantastic arrow coming out there from A35. He's really getting that momentum going.
Dire's middle tower has fallen.
Oh, nice arrow coming out there from A35. He is going to get it perfectly onto the Grimstroke, and meanwhile, Parasite, he just has to match out and find his way out of there. But Global now, look at the way they're setting the pace of this game. They've taken the objective in the mid lane. They've taken the objective in the bottom lane. The pressure yet again building on Whoops. Now they no longer can take these 4v5 fights. They got to be very cautious as to how many towers they lose. And at the same time, ZXC, he has ended up going into the neutral camp. He can't really farm the lane anymore. And I got to give props here to that Mirana. Those arrows, so much better than yesterday. Moonlight Shadows on point. If there was one way to play Mirana, A35 knows how to do it.
Absolutely, and he's even getting closer and closer to that Yule Scepter that's really going to be helping his case versus the Grimstroke, versus the Park, versus all the lockdown coming out and the silence coming out from the side of Whoops. It's also set up. More importantly, it is set up for an arrow. I'm honestly concerned for the side of Whoops. They're the ones that should have been working with the lead. They're the ones playing from behind. And they so far have not even dealt with Blizzard. As this game is progressing, if I had an opportunity to rethink my prediction, I would side with Global right now.
I mean, this is so tried and tested Signify way, right? You just leave Blizzard all alone. He will figure it out. He'll come back and he will be... Oh, that was a very close arrow coming out there.
Good stuff coming out from ZXC. He pops his boots at the very end just so that he doesn't get caught by that arrow. A35 doing a fairly good job on this Mirana. I've got to commend him, even though it might look as if he's been missing arrows. These have been really, some of those have been really clutch, like setting up for the buck kill.
Yeah, that was very important.
Yep.
And there was nobody else could have done it other than the Mirana. The 5 seconds that connects,
Yep.
you just can't do anything. And against a player like No Chance, who's very good in skipping
Dyer's
these
top
things
tower
and just
is
getting
under
out and
attack.
coming back in, that's the best way to shut him
Radiant
down. It's a
structures
good
are
play coming out here from
fortified.
Global. The pressure yet again
Radiant's
onto
middle
the side of
tower
Whoops
is
now.
under
They've
attack.
lost their 2 tier 2 towers on the top lane. They are only left with their tier 3 tower. Meanwhile, if you look into the mid lane, of course, they've already lost their first objective, and very soon they may be losing their second. They've also lost their bottom, but when you look at the side of Global, they have only lost their bottom tower. That's it. They've not even been able to take down the mid tier 1
Dire
tower,
are
even though
scanning.
it was a Venomancer against them. And Venomancer is one of those heroes that can definitely get out good fights. And also has very strong tower taking down capabilities. So it's a little surprising that Whoops is put into this spot. I don't think they were prepared to see Global so aggressive onto them. And now Whoops, they got to understand that they can't take any more smoke of deceit fights. They don't have the kind of power control or item synergy to really win those fights.
Yeah, I think what Whoops are trying to do is just ensure that ZXC gets his items and wait for ZXC to become a real force in this game. They are playing a slower pace of game. Things have quietened down for them, and I honestly feel, Angela, that there's no one really leading them in any one direction in the mid game, or if there is, that direction is play passive until ZXC gets his next big item. The shot's
Dyer's
very
bottom
good from
tower
Pinkman,
is
but
under
Whoops don't
attack.
want to commit the Spirit Vessel upon him. Tusk pulled back into the torrent. Pinkman might just end up falling. Swifty will chase with help coming out from Pusol, as the Sinister Gaze will be his death, his demise. Pinkman
Radiant's
falls.
top tower
Whoops
is
don't want to
under
commit.
attack.
Pinkman goes in. His teammates, they want no part of this.
That was
Dyer's bottom
very
tower is
surprising.
under
Why was he
attack.
even going for Swifty?
I don't know. I think there was a call to take that fight. And now, ZXC and the boys, they've got to be careful. They know
Dyer's
that
bottom
Global
tower
Esports
is
is
under
lurking
attack.
around mid. No Chance has picked himself up a Blink Dagger. Not quite sure if they want to take this fight. Both teams treading with caution. You've got to remember the Global Esports are fighting as for
Dyer's
Blizzard
bottom
is
tower
not
is under
a part
attack.
of this fight. And Global Esports, well, they really don't need to take these fights, Angela. They're going to be okay. As long as Blizzard farms, they should be fine. But Cowley caught in the trees will power strike up into the high ground. He's still got the epicenter if he needs it. Another great arrow from A35. But ZXC, he's gone straight for Pusol with the Inkswell. He should find this kill, but the control, the Yule Scepter, ZXC in the air. He'll finally find Pusol. It's actually Negi who gets shared for that kill. And Crowley up on a cliff, caught with the Dream Coil. It's his worst nightmare here as the side of Whoops surround him. Finally, they fight back. Negi will eat an arrow. Blizzard flirts with the idea of joining this fight, but gets the heck out of there as Global Esports. Well, for the first time in a long time, it appears as if they've lost a fight on the back of this BKB coming out from the ZXC Swen. They might even look towards Swifty. Swifty blocked off by the shots. Pinkman perfect with the shots. Swifty forced to pop his own BKB. Is man fighting one too many heroes. The good news for the side of Global is that they've still got the Moonlight Shadow
Dyer's
and they've
top
still got a
tower
tier
is
1
under
tower.
attack.
Not for long.
Radiant's
No
middle
TPs
tower
coming
has
in from the
fallen.
side of Global Esports as they give up the tower. Fortunately though for them, Swifty doesn't end up falling. But Blizzard, the split push, it's them.
Absolutely, and it was a good fight here for Whoops. They did a lot of things
Radiant's
right. But
courier
yet again,
has
if we
been
go
killed.
back to just recap the fight for like about 2 minutes, you'll notice that Global is just simply buying time. They're just simply making sure that Sven is not getting to roam around much and get much farm. They're just buying so much time for him. And Crowley, definitely that was a horrible fight. When they fight into a dire jungle, the angulation of the eye shots is so perfect that you can't really escape it if you're already standing in the vicinity. And that is something that Whoops took to their advantage. At the same time, into the mid lane, of course, we do see the Venomancer now slowly picking up pace. But if you look at the net worth now, you do see Blizzard slowly but surely climbing 1k at a time. He has looked to make a very big item progression here. If you could just see what items they have. He's picked up the Manta style. And that's one big item coming out there for Global Esports 23 minutes into the game. But if we look at the Sven, he is somebody that we're super concerned about. He's picked up the BKB, the Echo Saber, but where is the damage? He's got to get at least that Deadless up and running very soon if he wants to have more impact into this game. Meanwhile, there is, of course, a 4K net with lead now still onto the side of Global Esports, and they're looking to just take down objectives now again.
Yeah, 24 minutes in. It's been a really quiet game, 10-8. No one really looking for fights. Everyone approaching this with caution, as they should to a certain degree, because this
Dire's
is
bottom
a
tower
single
is under
elimination
attack.
best of one. Yeah, I mean, the loser is out of the
Radiant's top
tournament.
tower is under
And I don't
attack.
blame both teams for approaching this with the kind
Radiant
of
are
caution and
scanning.
respect that they have been approaching this
Dire's
game with.
bottom tower is under
Whoops, though,
attack.
they have managed to pop a smoke. They see them move towards the enemy jungle. But they're not going to
Radiant's
find
top
anyone
tower
as the
is
rest
under
of Global
attack.
Esports, they're grouped up towards the bottom half of the map. They find the tier 2 tower. I think Whoops at this stage are pretty much just waiting for someone to TP at the shrine.
They did manage to take down the tier 1 tower, so that is really good for them now. Let's take a look at the wards, of course, yet again. We do see two very aggressive wards coming out there from the side of Whoops, scouting out if Global actually comes to the high ground from the mid lane. Meanwhile now, Global Esports, they
Dire
have
are
other
scanning.
plans in the matter. They are getting that Moonlight Shadows
Oh,
off.
Pinkman, he's got to be careful. He doesn't see them. The bounty gets picked up in front of his face, and he's going to be staring death itself
Radiant's top
as the
tower
Sinister
is
Gaze
under
will
attack.
hold him in place. He dies. 835 with the Yules looking for more. ZXC though, he's gone in. The Soul Bind there. They'll bring down for Soul, but that's only the Lich. He's going to buy back. Negi there with the Nova. They are trying to bring down the Scarly. Sand King ZXC trying his hardest with his BKB. Finds himself a double kill. 835 has the Nova upon him. The Plague Wards are there. This Mirana should certainly fall, and ZXC will make sure a triple kill for the Sven as they look for more. For Soul, he buys back. He dies back, and ZXC, what he sees, he kills, he destroys as he finds himself an ultra kill here. And Global Esports have got to be scared as Whoops
Radiant's
on the
top
back of
tower
that
is under
could even
attack.
flirt with the idea of going high ground.
Absolutely. What a
Dire's
fantastic
middle
fight
tower
coming out
is
there
under
from
attack.
ZXC. I mean, he's playing the Swan. You don't need a lot of
Radiant's
items
top
on him
tower
if you got
has
the
fallen.
Godstrand up and running and you get to use it in the nick of time, and that's exactly what he did. Now, Blizzard just trying to keep everything in
Silence him.
control, but he's going to get caught out here. Nice silence
Dire's
onto him. They
middle tower
don't think they're
has
going to be able to
fallen.
take him down, but finally, he is going to just blink out of there, but he's not out of danger yet. He's got to make sure to get out of this. If he does die now, that will be a very costly kill here
No,
for the
he's
side
not
of
gonna
Global.
die.
But let's go back to that fight. I mean, that was super interesting to watch. The fact that Blizzard is still running, and Nonta's like, hey, my friend, let me try and find you. He's finally going to be able to get out of there. But that fight went so well there for the side of Whoops and so badly for Global. They did get Pinkman because that was the whole plan, but they never expected the whole team of Whoops to be standing right there. That stun coming out there onto Crowley was exactly what Whoops wanted. They got it, and they're back into this game as fast as they were out of this game just 2 minutes ago. They also managed to get the objective on the top lane, so they're back with getting the objective control also on this map. And now all they got to do is yet again give ZXC enough room to farm. All that little farm that he missed out on because of the team fights, with that ultra kill, he's evened it out completely.
Yep. I mean, the net worth has started to dip, as you can see. It started dip back in favor of Whoops. They did manage to pull back about 3,000 gold, but Crowley doesn't quite have the range. With the Bounce Strike and no chance for the coil, looks to run. ZXC wants in. He's only going to find himself a couple of illusions, but he sees Crowley, and with the Dust of Appearance and the Walrus Punch coming up from Pikmin, this should be an easy kill. Crowley buying time. The Chain Frost decent might just slow down ZXC and the rest of Whoops, but ZXC has no care at all in the world as he'll finally bring down Crowley. The Sinister Gaze will control him, and 50 wants to man fight this one, but one quick swoop of his hammer and a little bit of help coming out from Negi. They'll bring down the Lich, but ZXC falls. His unstoppable streak taken away, and Negi has no choice but to pop his BKB and get the heck out of there as they find
Radiant's
themselves the
bottom
3-position
tower
Sand
is
King,
under
but they
attack.
do end up losing their Sven and both supports, if I'm not mistaken.
Consider thyself
No,
purified.
just the Grimstroke. But they did find the Lich.
And that's the problem. That's the problem right there. The fact that they concentrated so much on Crowley and they forgot that there is 50 right there, and he's going to punish them for every single time they kill the Sand King.
Yep.
It's a little surprising that didn't happen in the previous fight where all four of them took a fall. I think they need to make sure that they lock down Swifty and Crowley at the same time. So that's a lot of work that we got to see ZXC do here. That stun needs to connect onto the God Strength hits need to connect on both of them. Only then they seem to be able to survive quite a bit. When you look at the
Dire
cores
are
here, of course, we
scanning.
do see Whoops has only one major core, the Sven. But when you look at Global Esports, they have the Kunkka, they have the Anti-Mage, and they have the Sand King. And those are three very strong heroes to be able to take down as this game progresses later and later. So Whoops has been really cautious as to how ZXC plays this, because even if they get one kill, it doesn't mean that they won the fight. They got to still make sure that ZXC survives to take the other fights.
Yep.
And that's a very risky affair for them. Meanwhile, now Crowley, back to the laning phase here. He's just seeming to enjoy this. The fact that the Animate also can just keep split pushing all these lanes, it's just so much of pressure slowly but surely getting onto Whoops' head.
There was an adjustment that Crowley made, at least in his quick buy, which I really did like. He had queued up the Lotus Orb, and personally, I think if Crowley could look back at this game, he would honestly prefer the Lotus Orb at this stage over the Crimson Guard.
Radiant
Sure,
are
ZXC is
scanning.
focusing in, there's a lot of physical damage, but the Lotus Orb does a lot more for his team. It's also going to help him to find a way out of these fights, especially when he gets silenced by the Puck, or something like the Swen Stun is headed his way. So there are a fair amount of single target spells that he can reflect. The armor also does help versus the Swen to a certain degree. 3,000 net worth in the favor of global esports. Whoops, they're going to be a little disappointed. I mean, they want to be the ones leading this game, but ZXC is getting bigger and bigger, like we mentioned, and I think Whoops have had enough. They're going to pop a quick smoke, try and find a kill. Now A35 under cover of the Moonlight Shadow. That Plague Ward, though, does give away their position, and
Dire's
A35 is going to break the
bottom
smoke.
tower
They
is
do
under
get the
attack.
bounty runes at the very least. And ZXC, I've got to tell you a story about this boy. The first time he was noticed was at the Taiwan Excellence Gaming Cup, where
clear
last year he was
sailing
playing with
now.
Team Buriza, and he was. I've not been that excited to see a carry player from India in a really long time. This guy has got real gumption, real courage of conviction, because I remember him building a Divine Champion not once but twice in that tournament and pretty much carrying his team on the back of his individual boldness.
Wasn't that a duo, really?
No, it was once at Taiwan and once at Dew, I believe.
Oh, so he's known to be the kind of player who is
He
not
takes
afraid.
risks. He is what.
What
No
is
chance?
this? Hi, friends. That was very interesting to just watch.
I think No Chance assumed he had gone further south, but yeah, doesn't quite end up finding him. Global Esports buying time for Blizzard, and Blizzard is starting to become an issue. He's got himself the Skadi and the Manta style heroes like the Venomancer, or even something like the Tusk or the Grimstroke are really going to start to find themselves in a rough spot. I really hope that Whoops start building items that are going to help them to kite their opponents. They really need this Glimmer Cape on the Grimstroke. Tusk has a medallion, but nothing like a blink, which is going to help him save allies or even initiate the fight. Both
Double
these
down
supports,
on
and heck, even
sorcery.
Negi, they need items that are going to allow them to kite. Sure, there's the BKB that's going to help versus Blizzard, that's going to ensure that he's
Dire's
not
bottom
burning away a
tower is
mana,
under attack.
and it's going to buy him some time versus both the Kunkka and the Sand King, but they need more items to kite the AM in these fights. They've got the lockdown.
Absolutely.
They need to survive.
They need to survive, and without surviving, this is going to be very hard for Whoops. The fact that they're already seeming to lose that advantage. The only time they really have a great advantage is when they get these 5v5 fights out beautifully. But apart from that, when you just look at the normal phase of this game, there's no way Global is losing this momentum. They've got every line covered. They've got all the lanes on point favoring them. They even have their objectives nailed down to the last brim, where it's just the tier 3 tower standing. And now all they got to do is wait for that right opportunity to take down Rosh. Now, knowing that, No Chance on that puck, he has to make sure that this Rosh doesn't favor Global Esports. But if they go into the Rosh pit and that fight fails for them, they're going to lose tier 3 racks. So it's a big gamble here for the side of Whoops. At the same time now, we do see an Agnum Scepter pick up and a Blink Dagger onto the side of puck. So he's getting pretty tanky, but they still don't have the sustainability. A lot relies on ZXC. If he dies too early on in any fight, or if there's a Smoke of Deceit fight and he falls first without buyback, it's basically GT well played here for the side of Whoops.
Yep. I think with the Ags, No Chance is going to have the opportunity to control Swifty through his BKB. Basically, Swifty can't run away from the coil if he's caught in the coil, and the stun will come through when the coil does snap. So, yeah, that's his answer to the Kunkka. That also makes the snap damage a lot more. I think that's another factor that is often overseen. So, he's going to be doing a fair bit of damage if his Dream Coil does end up snapping.
Dire's middle
Crowley,
tower is
he's
under
got
attack.
himself the Crimson Guard complete. He's ignoring the idea of a Lotus Orb, instead just choosing to opt for a BKB. Along with the Crimson Guard, he's got a Blink Dagger. And now this Sand King is definitely an issue for the side of Whoops. As they wander down the mid lane, they see A35, but he's got a Yule Scepter. He's going to be okay. Back at mid, though, Crowley whips his Burrow Strike. He's running forward desperately, trying to find something or someone. He's found Parasite, who did get pulled back into the torrent, but he's going to be okay. Negi with the Nova. Parasite finally ends up falling. The Chainsaw bouncing around. BKB's pop. It's ZXC who's still trying to focus down the Sand King. The Crimson Guard not enough, as ZXC finds himself a double kill. And now he looks towards 50. His BKB won't off. A decent torrent, but with that mana void, they'll at least bring down Pinkman. And the Starstorm might just be enough. They brought down ZXC. The Danger Man dead. Whoops in all sorts of trouble. His Negi has to TP the heck out of there. as Global Esports will lose only Crowley and find themselves 2 key kills as they survive the onslaught coming out from the side of Whoops.
I mean, we did see A35 buying back in this fight, but he's still a position 4. His buybacks are not really as important. At the same time, the way Blizzard came into the fight with 50, that is something that Whoops is just not looking at. They're not looking at the Kunkka, who just keeps coming in. And every single time that BKB gets over on ZXC, it's go time here for Global Esports to just go and shut him down. Once the Sven's down, the only thing that Negi can really do is back off and TP out of there. He's used 2 defensive BKBs just to get out of fights against Global Esports, and that is not something they're going to be super happy about. Now, Rosh, this is another big one yet again for Global Esports. They have that 2K net with lead, 16-16 scorecard, and with this Aegis pickup, they're going to go to a 4K net with lead here. Blizzard going to pick up the Aegis for now, and that's the first Rosh of the game. So the next time Rosh does come in, it's going to be a cheese, and the third one is going to be a refresher shard. And whoever gets this refresher shard on the side of Global, it's going to be helpful for them. Whether even the Lich takes it, that's a double chain frost that's going to come out. It's even going to be a double burrow strike and a double epicenter coming out.
Radiant
So
are
a lot of
scanning.
different kinds of combinations that Global Esports can run with that one refresher orb.
Yep.
So where do you see Whoops moving on from here? I mean, the fact that it's just getting scary and scary. I'm not seeing this Tusker as useful as I was expecting him to be. And Kunkka, he's picked up an assault now, and there's going to be quick Moonlight Shadows. Pinkman, very far from home, all alone, and he's got 4 heroes from Global right behind him. Quick Sun coming out there from Crowley. Wicked sick now is that
Your
Swifty.
sails, but
And
good.
this Kunkka is having a good day today.
Negi made a
Radiant
rather
structures
interesting
are
commitment as far as
fortified.
itemization was concerned. He could have queued up a sheep stick, did have the
Dire's
money for
bottom
it, but
tower is
instead
under
chose to
attack.
complete his axe.
Dire's
Sure, the Nova is
structures
going to
are
be doing a lot
fortified.
more, but I personally feel that along with the Soulbind, a sheep stick would have a lot more synergy. And I mean, I'm not against the axe scepter, but it felt like Negi and the side of Whoops
Dire's
really would have
bottom
liked
tower
that
has
sheep
fallen.
stick as Blizzard going unchecked, does manage to pop his BKB, is man fighting ZXC, BKB versus BKB, 2 cores in an isolated duel, and this might just be ZXC coming out on top. The control is there, the coil could cause issues. Crowley though comes in with the epicenter, they've had enough. Negi with the Nova does manage to clip nearly everyone, but no one from the side of Whoops wants in. Negi running forward, but Whoops running back. Swifty and Crowley are dropping a bit low, the arrow doesn't quite connect onto anyone. Negi with the split vessel upon him should certainly die. The Mana Void secures the kill as Negi is banging back into this team fight. Crowley dropping really low as Negi finally with the Nova getting himself a double kill. It's a buyback from Pasol as well. Crowley will probably end up falling. It's a bloodbath here in Whoops' base as ZXC will find himself a double kill. 2 cores dead. They managed to hold on, but at what cost? As it did cost them that tier 3 tower.
And 2 buybacks, and no Aegis yet fallen here onto the side of the Animate. He's still very strong. He's got the Scardials up and running. Good play coming out here from Global Esports. They got the tier 3 tower. They pulled out another BKB charge. They pulled out a buyback onto 2 heroes from the side of Whoops, and one of them being the Swan. So that's exactly going as planned. Now, the next fight that they take, once these heroes come back, it's basically going to be just head on to the tier 3 racks yet again. Maybe even shut down the shrines. And Global is closing this slowly and slowly. At the same time, of course, now Whoops, knowing that they have a slight advantage onto this map, they're going to start heading into the mid lane. I haven't seen them get aggressive in a little while now, and the major
Whoops.
reason, I mean, they've just not been able to cross the river. They've been playing so defensive because there's no other way to really play out this fight as of now. They're playing patient, but patience against an anti-mage just means a scarier anti-mage, and
Absolutely.
they are not prepared for this. I
I
think.
think Blizzard's got himself his Abyssal Blade. Yep, that's his Abyssal Blade complete. If I were Blizzard, I probably want to jump Negi. That last fight, the only reason it went in favor of Whoops was that Ag Scepter, which I ended up doubting. Without the Ag Scepter, I don't think Whoops would have been able to close out that fight. So if you are Blizzard, you probably want to just bring down Negi. And if you are the supports on the side of Whoops, you got to keep Negi alive for as long as possible. Those snowball saves, the Glimmer Caves, those really need to start coming in. And how? As Blizzard will go in, does have that Abyssal Blade, finds poor old Pinkman. No chance there with the silence, making Blizzard doubt himself. Blizzard will just respect that and back off for the time being.
I mean, Yeah, now the pressure yet again on the side of Whoops though. We do see the whole team of Global rotating now into the bottom lane.
Global is just going down bottom.
They need to just kill the Sven, and the Sven can't come into the fight now. If he comes into the fight and he dies, it's over. And he's going to head into the jungle, just going to go and get that quick farm up and running. He's picked up the Deadlist and the Assault and
Does
the
he have
BKB.
buyback though?
He doesn't have,
No one
nobody has buyback.
I think this fight could be it for either team, Angela.
But Blizzard, he has the Aegis, let's not forget that. So he
Radiant
doesn't
are
have a double
scanning.
life, and he also has a BKB up and running. And knowing all these factors, No Chance has just told his team, back
Dire's
off,
bottom
let them
barracks
take these
has
set of
fallen.
racks. We cannot take this fight anymore. It's an anti-mage against them, a very fat anti-mage. And the next item on the board for him is going to be Butterfly. They want to jump in the silence, is going to be
Dire's
dropped
bottom
down.
barracks are
But
under
apart
attack.
from that, there's nothing stopping him.
Yeah, I think the play from No Chance was to
Dire's
kill the
bottom
creep wave so that
barracks has fallen.
Blizzard would be fighting against backdoor protection, but I don't think he
Dire
succeeded. I think
are
the creep wave was
scanning.
still within range there for
Dire's
backdoor
bottom
protection not
shrine
to
is
kick in.
under attack.
But yeah, they get the bottom lane of Rax. Good call coming out from Whoops because that fight could have been the end of the game. They still want to be in this game and in this tournament here as one of these two teams will be eliminated
Dire's
from the
bottom
Taiwan
shrine
Excellence
is
Gaming
under
Cup
attack.
2019. The winner will move on to the grand final where we got Entity Gaming, the boys in blue, waiting patiently.
Dire's bottom
Oh, that's
shrine
going to be
has
another exciting
fallen.
game. It's going to be happening today itself. I think about 2 hours from now. So if you are at
Invisibility.
home and you want to watch some exciting esports, this is where you tune in. Of course, if you are in Bombay, you could definitely just drop down by the mall, Infinity Mall, and watch all this action live as it's happening. For now, on your screens, of course, Global versus Whoops. And look at the buyback statuses. They've suddenly switched off. Sven has his buyback available yet again. So does Swifty, the Puck, and the Sand King. So 2-2 each from both these teams are looking
Dire's
comfortable.
top
But
shrine is under
it-
attack.
No Chance has a reflection on. This is different, but I am actually in agreement here. But having said that, I'm actually concerned for Whoops, Angela, because I know Global Esports, or more than Global Esports, I know Blizzard. If Blizzard has
Dire's
managed to
top
take down a
shrine
lane
is
of
under
Bags
attack.
and he's playing something like the anti-mage,
Dire's
he's
top
going to rat you
shrine
so
has
hard.
fallen.
And if you are Whoops, you cannot go to sleep, play defensive, sit in your base. Sure, the first couple of minutes you're going to be feeling that, but once you have buybacks, you got to play to win. If you're just going to be sitting in your base, the game is eventually going to slip away from your hands. And if you just react like this, you're going to be bit by bit squeezed off the map, and eventually Global will just hit your ancient and split you between mid and top and close this game out.
You know, I'm surprised that ZXC has not had the best kind of backup. When you look at the way he's entered fights, I don't really
Yeah.
see anything saving him. There's no Glimmer Cape available on Parasite or anybody to really get him out of the fight once he goes in. I also don't see something like a Yules or a Force Staff, so not a lot of not a lot of defensive gameplay coming out here from Whoops to a certain extent. A lot of reliability on if
Invisibility.
ZXC gets it right, we win the fight. ZXC gets it wrong, oh, we can't do anything about this. And that reliability factor is something that's causing them to have such a big downfall in this particular matchup against Global Esports.
Yeah, I mean, the real difference makers for the side of Global Esports
Regeneration.
have been their supports, right? Pasol still doesn't have any significant item complete, but A35 has enough items to make his course stay alive. So, yeah, good stuff coming up from the supports on the side of Global Esports. While Whoops, Pikmin, he's got that medallion, doesn't have the Solar Crest complete. Sure, the Solar Crest is more offensive potential and to an extent even defensive potential, as it does take away attack speed and does boost up whichever ally it is cast upon. But just the Glimmer Cape for now from Parasite, I really feel like it is increasingly going to be a game that falls upon these supports to stay alive and keep their cores alive. And I hope we do get to see some of that.
Absolutely. And Pinkman on that Tusker, I think they are regretting this choice now because he just doesn't have the items. He doesn't have anything to really fight this team. And that yet again puts so much pressure on ZXC, not knowing that how this is going to pan out. A few mistakes coming out from Whoops has costed them quite a bit in this particular game.
Yeah. If you look at both four positions, Pinkman is clearly the one that's a little behind. He's hit level 16. Actually, level 15 is a big power spike for, I think that smoke was spotted. Yeah, it was clearly spotted. Carly's pinging it out.
Radiant
Global
are
know what's up.
scanning.
The Radiant actually scan themselves towards this cliff up top. And there's Parasite. I think he drops that Observer Watch. 50 spotted that out. Global Esports are not going to be falling for this. Whoops, going to be a little disappointed as to how they decided to start that fight. But yeah, I think the idea was correct coming out from Whoops. I mean, you can sit in your base and watch Blizzard just split push you, squeeze you off the map, take another Aegis, take the cheese, or you can try and take initiative and take control of the map back. It really falls upon Whoops as to how they want to play this game. The arrow does connect. Negi is going to be okay for now.
I'm not really understanding what the game plan here is for Whoops anymore, because I mean, it's an anti-mage, right? The Sven is looking pretty strong. He's got a lot of farm up and running, but I don't really see the amount of damage that is required to take down Global onto the side of Whoops. They need a Hex. They need something to just lock them down. They don't really have these really strong items that could deal with the Animage, the Kunkka, and the Sand King.
Yep.
And knowing that fact, I'm going to be a little surprised as to how Whoops decides to really defend against this for a longer period of time. We're going to see a Rosh very soon, and that's going to mean another quick cheese and Aegis here for the side of Global. And once they pick that up, they're basically sitting with 6 lives, 6-7 lives onto their side, with buybacks up and running.
Oh, they've had enough. Crowley a bit too far forward, will end up falling. This could mean Whoops could sneak in a quick Roshan. Crowley might be forced to buy back. The shot's perfect. Pinkpin without items, still making plays. I don't think he knows that he's caught Pasol, but it doesn't matter. They want to move towards the Rosh pit. Pasol with the Moonlight Shadow in the trees. Set up for a decent backstab. How much can a Lich really do? Not much. He's going to TP out. They don't find the Lich, but Rosh should certainly be a possibility here for the side of Whoops.
Yeah, they should definitely go for this. So without Crowley available on the map, this is their best time. And Anti-Mage, he would be continuing to split push, but ZXC meanwhile, he is not looking at his friends. This is the only space that they could get, and are they going to be using it? Blizzard, knowing that something's wrong, he's going to be entering the Rosh pit now. He doesn't want to give Whoops any kind of advantage. And meanwhile, Swifty just standing there on guard. He knows that Whoops is going to come in. But ZXC giving so much information here to Global Esports, constantly telling them exactly where they're roaming around, and that is not something you really should be doing at this given point of time.
I've got to call out something, okay? So ZXC, his God Strength was on cooldown. He's going for the refresher of this might actually be genius. I think if Whoops take this fight, I'm sure they know that Crowley has buyback. They're going to assume that Crowley is going to be able to rejoin Global Esports, but Global Esports might be completely caught off guard. If there is a Rosh fight, we've got to take a look at buybacks, and everyone has got buybacks.
Absolutely. That could be one really big item there on the side of Whoops.
Yeah.
But now they are going to be rotating around ZXC. He's going to head back. Global Esports, they're still concentrating on that Rosh, but Blizzard has to be a little careful here. He doesn't have his favorite man, the Sun King, and that means if that stun connects, he will have to call in backup from Swifty. And if Swifty dies and Anti-Mage dies, that could be risky for them. Meanwhile, they're not really concerned about this. He's going to head back into the pit. ZXC now. He wants to make this rotation, but where is his team?
How much is his buyback? I think he's trying to do the math to figure out if he can get a refresher orb and have buyback. Blizzard's had enough though. He's just jumped in on Pinkpin. No support, no backup. Pinkpin, he's going to end up falling, but he's got buyback. This is going to be a one long drawn engagement as Negi, the next point of attack here, he pops his BKB, doesn't commit the Nova because it's only Blizzard. Negi wants to find more heroes. Finally, the Nova does manage to catch a couple. Crowley there with the epicenter. That's Negi dead. He's got to buy back into the fight. The boats come sailing through. One by one, BKB's committed. ZXC trying to man fight Blizzard. The Soulbind will catch 2 of them. The Walrus Punch only 1. It's Lich dropping low. Pasol should probably end up falling. He will fall. Parasite dies in return. A buyback from Negi hasn't resulted in much as ZXC in the midst of it all kited will fall to the Monoboy. Blizzard once more. He sees Pinkman is Abyssal Blade committed. Whoops, they aren't buying back. They're just going to give up this fight and maybe even give up Roshan as Global Esports. They're going for the kill. They're going for the tier 3 tower, and those buybacks will ensure that they fall back, take Roshan. I don't think Whoops are going to contest this. There was a little split push coming out from No Chance, but it clearly wasn't enough.
Such big mistakes coming out here from Whoops. First of all, the fact that Pinkman even entered that fight, knowing that the Sven had already given out his position, gave Blizzard enough information to jump him off, take him down, and know that Sven's not going to have enough time to come into that fight in the nick of time. the second mistake that came out here, very big from Whoops, was that snowball. I mean, you use the snowball, but if the two heroes already in the snowball, how are they going to
Roshan
really
has fallen
escape
to
from there?
fatality.
And that is another thing that Global Esports completely taking to the advantage here. You can see here, they knew this one wasn't in the fight. We're going to very well see Anti-Mage just jump forward. We see ZXC standing there wondering if does he want to continue taking this fight, does he go back? And Negi, knowing that he's all alone there, they're just going to completely convert the fight into their rhythmic approach. Meanwhile, Swifty, he's just standing on the back lines and just enjoying the show. Now, finally, when we see the Sven jump in with the God Strength, he does get the stun off, but meanwhile, Pikmin, he forces that buyback, he comes into the fight, and when things are going completely wrong, he goes ahead and puts another friend of his in the snowball, giving Global enough time to run behind the third hero, the only survivor. So I have to say this was less of what Global did right and what Whoops did wrong. And giving out positioning of your Sven and then taking a fight, Global is going to punish you for that. And with that, of course, Blizzard now heading into the high ground. He's going to be able to take down
Dire's
this tier
top
3
tower
tower
is
with
under
great
attack.
convenience. Meanwhile, Sven, he's picked up the refresher, so
Dire's
he's
top
going to
tower
be able
has
to take
fallen.
this fight if he wants to. He's going to enter the fight now. Nice Dream Coil coming out there. The BKB is going to be used here. Blizzard still looking very strong. He's going to continue taking this fight. Meanwhile, ZX in the front lines. His BKB is almost down, and that means the whole team of Global charging behind him. He's got the refresher, but what are you going to do with the refresher? He needs the BKB back online. He's not going to be able to get it. 122 seconds on the clock. He doesn't have buyback. And now Global, they can take another set of racks very convincingly. Meanwhile, oh my god, Blizzard just annihilating two more people onto this map. A double kill, and the GG gets called out. It's going to be Global Esports going up ahead and making their way with Entity Gaming this time around.
Chat needs to be censored a bit, but Global Esports early in the morning, the Josh is high as they
The
will
Josh is high.
Yeah, they will secure themselves a slot in the grand final here. Whoops, this is the end of the road for them. They did knock Global Esports to the lower bracket, but Global Esports will knock them out of the tournament. Do not go anywhere. My name is Vivek. With me is Angela. We'll cut across to a short break, and then we'll be back with the grand final.
Check, check. Hello, everyone. Gaming enthusiasts and all the people who have joined in. This is Taiwan Excellence Gaming Cup 2019. Intense gaming, lot of excitement, and today is the finale.
Oh yes, that is about to get started in a few minutes' time. This is, of course, the 6th consecutive year that Zowie is, or rather, Taiwan Excellence, of course, Zowie is part of it, but Taiwan Excellence is here for the 6th consecutive year. And for that, of course, there's a big prize pool. And the prize pool that we're talking about.
Yeah, the prize money, 2 lakh rupees. 2 lakh rupees and some world-class gaming products from Taiwan. And here I'd like to thank Taiwan Excellence for being so supportive in this endeavor. ROG, our machine partner, Zavi, our monitor partner. Ladies and gentlemen, this wouldn't have been possible without their support. And throughout this event, they've stood by us and provided us with the best gaming products.
Every single year, that's the thing to look forward to. Every single year, Taiwan Excellence is going to be here. This is the 6th year. Well, we're looking for that decade completion. Well, in only 4 years.
And every year, so I remember I've been doing this since the last 5 years, and I must say, participants have increased, gamers have increased, the audience members, you know, who come to watch this gaming tournament. By the end of the evening, you're going to see Infinity Mall completely crowded. यहाँ पर सारे लोग दिखाई देंगे.
That's what we talk about. It is upping your game. Therefore, the hashtag up your game
I
indeed.
think
And
we
that's
should- we
what
should
has
do it
been going
together.
on.
Are you ready?
All right, let's do that.
3, 2, 1. It's time to
Up your game. All right, now with that, let's quickly head on out towards the few players that are going to have their matches in the Counter-Strike round in a few hours. But right now, let's quickly head on down to Mumbai because they've had an interesting match and they've moved on into the BO3 that they shall play against Blazin Esports. So we've got Ritz right here, who of course had his birthday yesterday. So let's quickly get in.
Oh my God, he's the birthday boy.
Yesterday.
Yesterday. I should be saying greet time, right? So belated happy birthday and congratulations. I'm sure you are excited a few steps away from the championship trophy. 2 steps away. Few steps, nahi, 2 steps.
steps.
Okay. So who do you think is going to be with you in the finale round?
Finale now? It's already
Who do you
confirmed.
think is your strongest contender?
Apparently, I think Blaze.
Which one?
Blaze.
Blaze. Yeah, they've been winning matches after matches and very, very strong team. What do you think is, what will work in your favor as a team? What's best about your team in comparison to Blaze?
Yesterday, they said we picked a map which we didn't knew.
Okay.
Today, we will teach them how to play CSGO.
Ah, this is a chunauti. Yeah? Bring it on, bring it on. Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. How long has it been since your team was formed? Is it like
It's been 4 months. We've been
4
formed,
months?
yeah.
And together you've been practicing?
Since past 4 months.
And Taiwan Excellence has been so supportive. This is the 6th edition. And it has helped gaming to be bigger and better. And we are one of the biggest and the longest running esports competition. What do you feel about that as a gamer?
As a gamer, yeah, I'm pretty happy. After a very long time, I'm playing on LAN. And it's my first time in a Taiwan
Excellence Gaming Cup, yeah.
So I'm super excited. And I'm very excited to play the finals on the stage match.
Superb. Yesterday birthday and today finals.
One thing I can certainly say about Reds, he is upping the game for this community indeed. Could we have that up your game moment right here with you? Perhaps with a few team members if you'd like? He does not want to be part of it?
He's like, right now, I want to
Zoned
focus on
out.
my brain. Focus on my brain, I'm like, focus on my game. Okay, with that, thank you so much for joining in. And ladies and gentlemen, you see behind the calm composure, there's so much going on right now.
Exactly.
Everything is at stake today, isn't it? Today, it is the finale, and it's a do or die. Today is the judgment day.
It is the judgment day after all. There is 2 lakh that this team or the opponent team is going to get to take home. So that's a huge, huge money, lump sum, that all of them are looking forward to be taking a little bit of, sneak I don't know what to even say. It's just like 2 lakh rupees. That's a lot lump sum that you're talking about. So, of course, this is one team that is the Counter-Strike team. On the other side, Global Esports has just won their team match against Whoops. So they have moved on into the BO3 series against Entity Gaming. Again, we see two of the best names when it comes to the esports realm.
Yes.
Global Esports, Entity Gaming, head-on-head against each other. What are you guys expecting out of this? Hashtag TEGC
2019 and
let us know.
hashtag up
your
game.
Oh, yes. And with that, we shall take a short little break right now. We'll be back with the match, the BO3 that is about to get started. And I guess that's all there is.
And if
of course.
you are around, please make sure you're at Infinity Mall because we have coaches from Mumbai Indian team joining us for the award ceremony. This cannot be missed.
All right, welcome back once again. What an incredible start to this day it has been. We've just witnessed the first match, but now it's time to move along and get started with the final itself. I certainly hope everybody at home is excited, but are we excited in this crowd right here at the venue? Are we all cheering? Can we hear a little bit of screaming? Can we hear a little bit of hooting? It is the final in the Dota 2 realm. No.
Gamers, make some noise. Come on. Let's hear it for our... This is the finale round. And oh my God, it all boils down to this moment. It's the Judgment Day.
It is the Judgment Day. In the next 3 hours, both these teams, Entity Gaming going against Global Esports, are going to have to battle it out, of course, in the Dota 2 realm and find out for themselves and ours who is better.
Who's going to take the cup home? We are going to find out in a bit. So let's call the team.
Let's certainly get started with that, of course. And for that, we do need to get introduced with the first team that is coming up. That is called Entity Gaming.
Woo! Make some noise, ladies and gentlemen, for Entity Gaming!
All right, that is Entity Gaming. Standing right next to me, of course, is Moon and Divine. My apologies, there's a Fito, and we've got the likes of Archmage, and whoa. These faces are just so awesome to see right here in the early morning. They're all
They've got
prepped
the
up.
swag.
They've got the swag every single time we see them, every single time. Moon, before we can introduce the other team, could you perhaps give us what's going on with that hair? This is the first time we've seen you with that blue shade.
I was just a little bored playing Dota every day, so change it up a little.
I'll tell you one thing that I love about Moon and their team is they are so super cool. Like, they come on, you know, with this look, and it's like, we're going to win the game, no matter what. We're having fun, and I love that attitude, man. That is kick-ass.
Oh, yes, indeed. I certainly hope you guys are all prepped up to go against Global Esports.
It's all in here. Yeah.
We are dying to know what's there in this book. I'm sure your oh no, we are not.
Well, that, of course, is Entity Gaming, but on the other side, how about Lynn, you take control? We've got...
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, let's invite on stage my favorite team, Global Esports. Make some noise for Global Esports.
All right, on the right, joining me on the stage is a team from Mumbai itself. This is Mr. Crowley, 835, Swifty, Blizzard, Pasol. How are you guys all doing today? Are you guys all prepped up and energized for this game against Entity Gaming?
Yes.
Ronak has always been so cool. He's been like, always ready. Bring it on, right?
Yep, we are ready.
So what is your strategy for the finale match? Anything?
I think you should change that question a little bit.
You don't want to share that strat. So how long it has been that you all have been working together as a team?
I think close to 3 months. We just formed this team after the last tournament, and now here we are in the finals, so I think it's going good.
And anything that you want to tell your competitors, any message for them? Look into their eyes.
Hoping for a good game. This is my first time playing versus a guy with blue hair, so I'm excited.
So I don't think he heard that, so we'll have to repeat that again.
I was saying it's my first time playing versus a guy with a blue hair, so I'm excited.
First time playing versus a blue hair guy, right?
All right. Well, I'm going to have to take control right now because this is something I cannot accept. This is something I am not going to allow, Mr. Crowley, because right here I have the dude, the man, who's got a lot of things to say. What do you have to say?
But I'll
to
tell
Mr.
you
Crowley?
something. Go for it.
I'm just gonna give him water. I don't think he can speak well.
Okay.
Trust me, you cannot go with Ronak's silence, okay? This guy, he's silent, but he is an action taker. He's all about action, and he speaks few words, but the man will show it in his game. His team will show it in his game. Look at them, pucked up, excited, and I think let's straight
Head
get
into
to the
game.
game.
All right, certainly, let's do that. Let's certainly ask both of our teams best of luck. Go right ahead, take your seats. And now it's time.
And I am hooting for Global Esports and make us very, very proud, Ronak. Go for it. Best of luck, guys. Before you go, we need to do our anthem together as a team. It's time for Game It Up. Let the game begin.
Oh,
yeah?
yes.
Let's
Oh,
do it
yes.
together.
Let's do that all together. It is time. It is the moment
So
to
we are
shine.
going to do this together with our team. Up your game. So guys, let's take position.
Are we ready? Entity. Need some power in here.
Global
Need some
Esports, are
aggression.
you ready? Yeah? this is the victorious team.
This one is better.
Okay, we'll find out in a few hours. 3, 2, 1. It's time to up your game.
And with that, it is, of course, over to you, casters. Angela, and over to you, men.
Thank you so much, Plotter and Lindsay, for hyping up what is already one of the most hyped matches I've cast in a while in Indian esports, as Entity Gaming will take on Global Esports for a shot at winning a lot of money.
Absolutely. This is the most anticipated game. When we started Taiwan Excellence, everybody was like, it's going to be Entity versus Global mostly in the grand finals. But here it is. This is your grand finals, and it's Entity versus Global, just like predicted. And Entity, of course, they are a new team. If you have to put it in slots, they have only 2 to 3 players who are actually from their previous roster where they won other tournaments. So right now, they are playing with 2 stand-ins. Hopefully, fingers crossed, if they win this tournament, they're going to become permanent players for the team. But Global, meanwhile, they just finished a game, and a very interesting one against Whoops, and they really performed exceedingly well. But I'm sure Entity Gaming has been watching all this, and they have some strategies in store against you yesterday.
Absolutely. I think Entity, because they've qualified for the final with a lot of ease, they've had time to look at their opponents, look at Global Esports, because they made a run from the lower bracket. So they've been preparing for this final a whole lot. So that is one element that is going to go in favor of Entity Gaming for this best of 3. Now, the final is a best of 3, and I personally think that this is going to go all the way to a game 3. I think we're in for the long haul. I cannot make a prediction.
Yeah.
I really...
I'll not ask you also this time.
I mean, you can make a prediction based on the draft, but one thing is for sure, at this stage, it's very hard to predict who's going to take away the whole BO3 and win this grand final. I think both teams are pretty much on even footing. It's going to boil down to who drafts better and who plays better.
Absolutely. And Entity definitely have a lot of surprises in store. Now, if you recap to yesterday, Entity did play Global. And Entity was able to close that game for themselves, not convincingly, but in a very good fashion. And so they understand to a certain extent how Global really is going to play this game. What they're deciding the first time we are seeing them play with their new roster for both the teams. So that means they have a little bit of study on it.
Yeah, I mean, this is a new roster. In a sense, coming out from Entity, Divine, Moon, and Zafito were part of the earlier roster with Castaway and Luciano.
Yeah.
But Castaway and Luciano have left the team. Zafito, I believe that this is his last tournament with the team, but there's still a lot of money and a lot of pride at stake here, so he's going to be giving it his all. Yeah, Divine and Moon, I mean, they've stuck together since the beginning of this organization. I've got a real shout out to Divine. I think if we were ever to make a movie like Gully Boy for Indian Dota, I think Divine has had a great story. He started out, I remember he used to work in a cafe
G4L.
in Bangalore. Just sitting in the cafe, managing it, looking after others. He's now made himself to be this rather strong, reliable 5-position in-game leader for the side of Entity, and it's a great success story.
Yeah.
It's got everything that we'd like from any movie, yeah, him and Moon, they've come a long way. Moon, the young child, the prodigy, the boy who colors his hair blue and makes his enemies bleed blue. He's been an absolute firepower for Entity. Now, I think if there's only one prediction I can make of the series is that each game is they're going to be longish games.
Yeah, it's going to be between the 35 to at least the 50-minute mark.
I don't think any of these games are going to end pre-35 minutes. That's the one prediction I can make, because I know that Entity are a team that does not close games very quickly. They do take their time. So we're going to be hitting this 35 to 50-minute mark like you mentioned, and then it's going to come down to experience and decision making, and obviously the kind of team fight your draft can bring in that mid to late game.
Absolutely. And when we talk about experience, there is somehow this one thing that we look at Global, they have players who've been playing Dota for I don't know how many years now. And they definitely have more experience when you look at the lineup, because they have Pasol, who is the captain of Aggressive 5. He has the experience of being able to understand these kind of really strong moments, the crucial moments in the game where things need to be turned. But on the other side, we have Entity Gaming, this raw firepower, young blood that has come in, and they're definitely changing the way they play these games. When you look at Moon in specific, even if the game's really going bad for Entity Gaming, somehow he always is so calm, so composed. He's able to play that carry on point and be able to change the complete way the game goes on. So it's raw firepower with not that much experience versus a team that is completely so strong just based of experience. Because A35, he was also the captain of RG Titans, if I was not wrong, at some point of time. And now Blizzard, he is going to be the drafter in this game. So
Yeah.
technically, on paper, Global Esports is the better team, but Entity is just doing so good with their just this new lineup with these young players who are doing just very unique things in Dota 2.
Yeah. I mean, uh, I know Crowley is a person that doesn't pay compliments. And for him to say, "Arey, cool cheeze karte hai wo log," huh?
Huh.
That is a lot coming from him.
Yeah.
That is a 1,000-word essay of him praising a team, pretty much. Although he only had to use 6 words, but that is a lot coming up from Crowley.
If you can surprise him, he definitely comes into your books of known players in the community. And there have not been many, but Divine and Moon, they seem to be the ones that are going to be staying on the block for a very, very long time now. Zapiro, hopefully he'll stick on in esports. If you guys want to know more about him, you can follow him on his Instagram or even follow Entity Gaming to know more about what really is going around with this team. The same goes with Global Esports. With that, we can head into this draft now and see that the Magnus is going to be the first ban as of
Yeah.
now on the board.
This is a good ban coming up from Global Esports. They know that Entity Gaming, both Safito and Divine, I believe both of them play the Magnus. Interesting bans coming out from Entity. They ban out the Razor. They're not banning out anything meta. The meta bans are coming up from the side of Global as they ban out the Night Stalker and the Alk. But Entity ban out the Razor. I think this is just so that one of the melee cores that they want to run have a decent matchup. It could be the Lifestealer. It could be maybe even a Dragon Knight at mid. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, it's a sign that they do not want to get cheesed or rather countered by something as silly as a Razor, which is very possible. They're going to pick up the Abaddon. This is going to mean that their safe lane is going to be, for the large part, good, maybe even better than good. I'm not quite sure how Global respond to this.
Ooh.
It seems like it's going to be the Tiny. So I think that's again Crowley. Maybe given the Grimstroke, A35 could.
They like the Rubik also quite a bit. I mean, the Tiny, let's talk about this pickup. Yesterday, we saw Crowley on this Tiny, and he was crazy. He was able to hold things so beautifully well. He started steamrolling just 11 minutes into the game. He went beyond godlike. Lots of hullabaloo that went down over there against Wipeout, but very confident pickup coming out here from Global. At the same time, I'm sure that Entity knew that Tiny is going to be against them. They've been studying Global inside out, and I'm sure they
10
have something to
seconds
work
remaining.
against this Tiny. Now, pairing that up, they're going to go with the Ogre. Very strong hero yet
5
again.
seconds
Mostly going to be
remaining.
played as a support here in this particular matchup. We can either see A35 on it or maybe even Pasol. Yesterday, we saw Pasol on this hero, I think. And that was a pretty interesting game that went down against Wipeout. But Entity, they're going to go ahead with the Abaddon, a very good pickup on the boat. They could pair this up with something from Wipeout's book of just putting a Legion Commander in the mix of things, or just completely go durability and pick up something like a Necroforce, which has
Dire
not yet
team
been
back.
picked up, but could be a good choice. But
Mirana.
Entity, they're going to go ahead with